Hello viewers. Once again welcome to my channel. In today's video, we will be talking about hormones and some common endocrine disorders. Before we proceed, please don't forget to like this video, comment, share and also subscribe to my channel. First of all, what are hormones? Hormones are specific chemical entities or messengers produced by ductless glands into the bloodstream, or we can say, hormones are chemical molecules that are released in the bloodstream by ductless glands, which affects the activities of cells and tissues in our body. Hormones are classified based on three main categories. 1. Steroids or lipid hormone. These hormones are derived from cholesterol and are lipid soluble, which actually enables them to pass through cell membranes. Example of these hormones are estrogen, testosterone, cortisol, progesterone and aldosterone. Number 2 categories of hormones are the polypeptides or peptide hormones. These hormones are composed of amino acids and are water-soluble, requiring receptors on cell surfaces, which means they can react with receptor sites on the surfaces of cells, because they can't penetrate the lipid bilayer of the cell surface. Examples are the oxytocin, prolactin, growth hormone, ACTH, which is the adrenocorticotropic hormone, and also parathormone hormone, also called parathyroid hormone, etc. And number 3 we have amine hormones. These hormones are amino acid derivatives, triazine, and a kind of peptide hormones. They can also act in different ways depending on their configuration. For example, epinephrine and norepinephrine act on the membrane of the cell, while T3 and T4 would act like the steroid hormones, which penetrates the cell membrane. Note, all other hormones falls under these three categories of hormones. And on the next slide we're going to talk about some hormones, their functions and the category they belong to. The first one we have, growth hormone. This hormone falls under the category of peptides hormones, and it's released from the anterior pituitary gland, under the control of the hypothalamus. GH influences our height, builds up our bones and muscles, which determines our physical shape and size. The next one is prolactin, also released from the anterior pituitary. It aids milk production, which helps in breastfeeding and helps in developing of mammary glands within breast tissues. It also falls under the peptide hormones. We also have TSH, which is the thyroid-stimulating hormone. This hormone stimulates the thyroid gland to release thyroid hormone called the T3, triiodothyronine, and T4, thyroxine. These hormones helps in regulating growth, metabolism and development. And also the parathyroid hormone, PTH, which is released by the parathyroid gland. It regulates calcium levels in the blood. Both of these hormones falls under the category of peptide hormones. On the next slide we have adrenocorticotropic hormone, ACTH. It's released from the anterior pituitary and stimulates the adrenal gland to release their hormones. Example of the hormones released are cortisol, aldosterone, epinephrine and norepinephrine. Cortisol and aldosterone are steroids hormones, while epinephrine and norepinephrine are amine hormones. Cortisol, it helps in stress response, regulate blood pressure and helps reduce inflammation, while aldosterone helps in regulating electrolyte balance and also blood pressure. The next hormone we have, epinephrine. It helps the body in fight or flight responses, preparing the body to react to stress. And also, norepinephrine. This hormone is also a neurotransmitter. It helps in regulating alertness, arousal and attention. It also modulates pain. On the next slide we have follicle-stimulating hormone. It's produced by the anterior pituitary gland, which plays an important role in the reproductive system. It stimulates the gonads to secrete sex hormones such as progesterone, estrogen and testosterone. It also helps promote the growth and development of the testes and also triggers ovulation. The next hormone we have on the slide is vasopressin or ADH. It helps in the regulation of water balance and water reabsorption. It's also a peptide hormone produced by the hypothalamus and released by the posterior pituitary gland. We also have oxytocin. This hormone helps in uterine contractions during childbirth and also aids lactation from the mammary glands after childbirth. Oxytocin can also be seen as the love hormone, because it is released during sexual arousal, and also promotes trust, social bonding and actually helps in reduction of stress and anxiety. Note, the posterior pituitary does not produce vasopressin and oxytocin, rather, the hypothalamus produces them, and sends them to the posterior pituitary through neurons. The last hormone we will be talking about is insulin and glucagon. Insulin actually decreases blood glucose levels in the body, while glucagon increases blood glucose levels in our body. And these are both peptide hormones produced by the pancreas. On the next slide we have some common endocrine disorders. Endocrine disorders are conditions that affect the endocrine system. Number 1 disorder, we have diabetes. This is caused by insulin deficiency or resistance of insulin by the cells, and it's a pancreatic disorder. Number 2, we have hypothyroidism, also referred to as underactive thyroid gland. It's a condition by which the thyroid gland doesn't produce enough thyroid hormone. And number 3, hyperthyroidism, also overactive thyroid gland. It's the overproduction of the thyroid hormone called the T3 and T4. Hypothyroidism and hyperthyroidism are both thyroid gland disorders. Number 4, Cushing's syndrome. This is as a result of overproduction of cortisol by the adrenal glands. This is a pituitary disorder because the anterior pituitary gland releases ACTH, which stimulates the adrenal cortex to release cortisol. And number 5, growth hormone deficiency or hyposomatotropism. It can lead to short stature or growth abnormalities. It is also a pituitary disorder. Number 6, polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS. This actually leads to hormonal imbalance in women. 7, hypogonadism. This is as a result of low sex hormone production in the gonads. In summary, the hypothalamus receives signals from the brain and the body, and releases hormones which signals the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland, while the anterior pituitary releases its own hormones to specific organs or glands to release their hormones. The endocrine system is a unique system, in such a way that it plays a very important role in our day-to-day activities. Please like, comment, share and also subscribe. Thanks and God bless you.